You were explaining to me when we were outside before we came in here. I said I wanted to talk about it here instead. You were explaining how instead of using the VAER system, that there's a method of analyzing a whole host of data to find out about deaths, how many coffins are ordered, how many people die of heart attacks, strokes. There's another way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, the guy who kind of showed that to the world was Ed Dowd, and Ed Dowd was he was a big Wall Street guy. He was I think he operated one of the portfolio companies for BlackRock. He grew it, and again, this needs to be checked a little, and maybe James could, but I think he grew it from under $1 billion to $14 billion. He was a major player in Wall Street, and the way he did that was he saw the 2008 crash coming because he's a numbers guy. He sees the world in terms of numbers. During the pandemic, he had no kind of early exposure to the medical freedom movement or anything else. He just started seeing data that made no sense to him, and it was a lot of those was kind of the all-cause mortality deaths. He started seeing people dying after vaccination that shouldn't have been dying. Kids on the ball fields, all of these, the athletes, et cetera. But he was looking at these non-conventional data sources like the ones that you spoke of. He was looking at insurance industry, insurance industry data that showed excess deaths, particularly in younger groups, spiking after the vaccine, and seeing it all over the world. And he ended up doing a book on this that is designed to be read in, I think, an hour or 90 minutes. And it's a book. It's an extraordinary book because it has all of these graphs that are incredibly convincing, compelling. But it's the kind of book, if you have a skeptic and you can get them to sit down for 90 minutes with this book, when they get up, they will have converted. And it has one part of the book has like maybe 1,000 photos of local newspapers reporting athletes dying on playing fields. These stories never made the national news, but the local papers were because they'd happen at the local game, and the local papers were covering them. So there was no censorship in the local papers, and it's really it's sickening. I mean, it's terrible. These beautiful children who were dying on the playing field, and COVID was killing people, but it was old people. Yeah.
Cause unknown, the epidemic of sudden deaths in 2021 and 2022. Edward Dowd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Died after first vaccine dose, dies at hospital. Football, died on the field.
None of this was reported, and there's thousands and thousands of those stories. I think.
Well, they were also kind of suppressed.
Yeah, one of the data points, he went in and looked globally. People do die on playing fields. It's a pretty steady average of 29 per year for 30 years. And we were getting after vaccination, I think 29 per month. So.
Now, here's the other concern. It's not just the people that died. It's the people that suffered that are alive and that have an injury, and that may have radically shortened their life.
Well, there's 15 million Americans, according to the VSafe data and the Rasmussen poll. 15 million Americans sought medical help after the vaccine. That's, and then, VAERS, which VAERS is unreliable, but it's not unreliable because it's overestimated. It's unreliable because it's underestimated. And that's CDC's own study says it undercounts injuries by between 10 and 100%. And so, or 100 times, not 100%, 100 times. So I think VAERS has 17,000 deaths reported, and over 1 million injuries. It may be well over 1 million. It's something like that. I mean, James can look it up. But in 1976, when they had this really bad flu shot, that they did the same thing with. They did a global rollout, and everybody had to take it. And they pulled the shot after 25 deaths reported. 25. So now, I mean, there are, we're living in a different universe now in terms of public health. I mean, the pharmaceutical industry has captured the regulatory structure and just changed the entire way that people think about public health.